Okay, what up ladies and gents, are we live? It is your favorite Asian robot right here, and today we are going to be talking about the Gun Psyker. Now, I'm going to preface this whole thing by saying that yes, it is a Gun Psyker, but it doesn't mean you exclusively use your gun. Alright? You can in lower difficulties, but when you get to Auric Level, doing that is number one, absolutely moronic because you are going to run out of ammo and be a huge ammo drain to your team. And number two, the Psyker doesn't exactly have a lot of gun choices that can deal with carapace armor. So you're gonna have to structure your build a bit differently in order to be competitive at Auric level. This is kind of crucial. If you want to play a Gun Psyker because you want to use a gun with Space Wizard powers, it is possible, but the optimized build for it is going to have some limitations, and I want to be upfront and clear about that. Okay, don't be like the morons out there that are like, oh, you're not a Gun Psyker because you didn't use your gun constantly. I'm like, okay, you guys go try that in Auric missions with high intensity shock troopers, okay? You guys do that. You guys do that, go run out of ammo, and then show me how you manage to get your team through it, because you won't, okay? But with the methodology that I'm going to teach you, it is possible to do it at Auric level, which we have done on stream after a lot of testing and after trying a lot of different guns. And we've created something that will work, but it does have its limitations. It does have its weaknesses. This I need you to understand. All right. So let's get into this build ASAP. Okay, here we go. All right, so to build your Gun Psyker, first of all, this is the incorrect sword. I am so sorry about that, ladies and gents. This is actually supposed to be your Deimos. I believe it's this. Okay, sorry about that. Anyway, when we are looking at the Gun Psyker, first and foremost, we need to look at gear, as we always do, and then we'll move on to other things. So, shitty fadeaway transition. Alright, let's go through the gear together. First and foremost is your sword. You have no choices in this matter. For the Gun Psyker, there are only two options, Chainsword or Deimos Blaze Force Sword. Okay, these two are the best at dealing with heavily armored targets, including the Crusher for the Psyker, and I highly recommend the Deimos over the Chainsword, but some people are hardcore into the Chainsword, go for it. If you really are good with it, go for it, okay? But my loadout is focused around the Deimos, and I will show you the stats and blessings and perks. The Gun Psyker build, unlike my other builds that I've done thus far, is very specific. Okay, I have to be clear on this. It is very specific because you guys need very specific things, all right? Melee critical chance as your first perk. Your second perk should be either Carapace Armor, okay, dealing with Carapace Armored enemies, or if you can, Flak Armored enemies. If you cannot roll a second perk, that's okay, all right? Take what you can get, but ideally choose either damage versus elites, or damage versus maniac, or damage versus Carapace Armor, depending on what you struggle with the most, all right? Usually the Deimos can kill muties, so I would take Carapace Armor, but in this case, I couldn't roll a second one. I rolled melee critical chance first, so I just went with that, okay? In terms of your blessings, I usually will pick Deflector. Why? Because you're going with the Disrupt Destiny keystone, which comes with the kinetic deflection, which allows you to use your peril to block instead. For this reason, Deflector is useful because it reduces block cost and allows you to block range attacks as well. The other perk is for damage purposes, in which case I do recommend Uncanny Strike. It is quite easy to hit weak spots with Deimos, and this will greatly increase your rending bonuses. So use it and abuse it, all right? You gain plus 20% rending on enemy weak spot hit for 3.5 seconds. Let's do a quick demonstration before we get into the rest of the gear. Rending, 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 rending. All of this ups your damage, so the more weak spots you hit, which is real easy to do, the easier it is to take care of the enemies coming after you, all right? Okay, so I hope that is clear. Okay, there you go. That is why we choose that. In terms of your stats for the sword, my personal recommendation is to have your damage, first target, and finesse as high as possible. Next is mobility. You want your mobility, if you can, try to get it above 70. If you fail, like these 3 stats are the priority, but mobility, you want it over 70% if you can. If you find that you cannot, it's okay. It's okay. Try to get it as high as possible. Warp resistance is your dump stat because you don't really need to worry about it. Okay? Your Deimos sword also has a little bit of lag with using its special. Alright? Especially when you're taking care of muties. Before I even move on to the ranged weapon, I'm going to show you this. If you strike the body of the mutie, it will not die, so make sure you strike it afterward as well, okay? Most other creatures will die to a heavy swing, but for the mutie, if you do a normal swing, you will still deal fair amounts of damage, so don't hesitate to use the normal swing. The only time where you really have to use the heavy swing is against the crushers. Against the crushers, it is highly advisable to use the heavy swing if you're having trouble dealing with them. If you want to use the light swing against them, it's also possible, but it will deal a lot less damage. Let me show you. Sorry about this. These require explanations because you see, it does very minimal damage against the Crusher. This is different from the Mutie. So against the Crusher, please try and do heavy swings of your special, which will deal more damage, okay? This is how you deal with these armored targets, because your gun choice is really not going to do very much except on a crit. See? When it's not a crit, ping ping, doesn't do very much, yeah? Okay, now that you understand that, let's go over to the ranged weapon. For your ranged weapon, I would choose either the Vrax Mark 7 or the Vrax Mark 3 Headhunter Autogun. It is your choice. Both of them function with the same perks and same blessings. Okay, let's talk about it. Now, in terms of your must-have blessing, Crushing Roulette is generally the accepted choice. It increases your critical chance for each expended round, giving you more opportunities to crit. Okay, and I find that very useful. And your other blessing can be anything you like. In this case, I rolled Ghost 4 and I wasn't willing to get rid of it because I haven't rolled it before. So eventually, if I roll another Ghost 4, then I can re-roll this one. Other than that, the perks that I would choose are ranged critical strike chance 5%, okay, and damage to flak armored enemies, which is the most common enemy type that you'll be dealing with using this gun. When does the Gun Psyker use their gun? Okay, I'll explain that shortly when I go into the playstyle. There's going to be an additional section in this video after we explain the talent trees and all that. Okay, so look forward to that section. But these perks in general and this blessing will help you do everything you need to with the gun. Okay, the use of the gun is a bit different to how it was before, and this is because of the increased enemy difficulty in Damnation now. All right, so you have to be aware of that. In terms of stats, please go for damage and stopping power. Both of these directly affect your weapon damage, so you're going to need both of this as high as possible. Next, your stability should be as high as possible because this will allow you to fire accurately, okay? Especially with the Vrax, if you do not get a high stability, you're going to be kind of screwed. Ammo, try to get it above 60, nothing below that. Mobility, as high as you can, but, you know, if it's a dump stat, use it as a dump stat. I do, however, highly encourage mobility to be as high as possible because hipfire moving recoil and aim down sights moving recoil changes drastically based on mobility, which affects, you know, like your stability is the first thing, but this one affects it too. Okay, the stats are clearly disclosed there. So try to get your mobility as high as possible. Ammo, anything above 60 is good. Try to get it to 65 if you can, or 70, but anything above 60 is good. Mobility as high as possible, okay, if you want to roll a really good one. Okay, that is about it. That is about it for the guns. In terms of your curios, we are still running the standard ones. 3 stamina, 17 toughness, 21 max health. Toughness, regeneration, speed across the board. Gunner resistance across the board. And if you can, combat ability or whatever else is your 4th roll is fine. Okay, you don't have to worry about that. All right, that is it for your gear. Now let's talk talents. Okay, talents are going to be exceptionally crucial in this build because in order to get this build optimized and in order to do the best that you can, you're gonna need a specific talent loadout. All right, let's take a look at it. Okay, vanishing again. Right. With your talent tree, what you need to realize is that this build is a little bit different to how a lot of other people might run their build. I've constructed it in a little bit of a weird way here, but that's because I'm going to reconstruct it myself. Okay? Bear with me. This is going to be a little bit difficult to explain and go through, but there are things that you need to understand and certain choices that kind of need to be made. Okay, here we go. I'm going to reset it all. Oops, sorry. Yep, there we go. All right. Starting right at the top, Quietude is a standard choice for this. You might be thinking, wait, but this build is not supposed to generate peril. Oh, yes, it is. Oh, yes, it is. This is how you generate your toughness. You can also go for metal or warp expenditure. Either one of this is fine, but I find that metal has less use to me than warp expenditure because you will be using your sail quite frequently with this build. And that's just me being very honest, very frank. Okay, so I went with warp expenditure. Next, battle meditation is highly useful. Why? Because when you're throwing out your sail shards while Scryer's Gaze is also going, at least you can generate peril and also heal your toughness. Okay, next, perilous combustion is very useful because you will use your sail to kill a lot of specialists and elites, and the spreading soul blaze can really help you in tough situations. Of course, you must grab both your base toughness boosts. All right, you don't grab perfect timing because your damage is like, it is mostly warp focused from your assail and Deimos, but the problem is that if you go with perfect timing, you will find less. Well, it's not useful to your gun, and your gun is kind of your I really want to say it's the primary weapon, but it's like the primary weapon alongside a sail, so you'd only be getting half the benefit that you normally would. All right, so I chose to forego warp damage. If you can find a way to squeeze it in, go for it. It's up to you. Okay, a sail, please get ethereal shards and quick shards. Quick shards is a necessity for this build. You cannot function without it. Next, Malefic Momentum is something that was considered for this build. Basically, I was thinking that if I killed people with my gun and then swapped over back to the shards, I would deal up to 20% bonus damage, which theoretically is good, doesn't work in practice. Okay, so I went with Mind in Motion, which was a much safer choice that actually kept me up and running quite often. It was pretty good, I'm not gonna lie on that. Next, toughness damage reduction, please go with Prescience. Okay, the additional critical hit chance benefits your allies, you, and it helps you deal a lot more damage with the Gun Psyker. Grab Anticipation to assist your dodge duration and give you an extra dodge. This is so helpful. Empathetic Evasion, a critical hit makes you count as dodging against range attacks for 1 second. This is why you don't necessarily need Ghost. It works as a supplement together with Ghost if you happen to critically hit. So do take advantage of this as well. Next, range damage. Of course, you need to increase that. Go for Scryer's Gaze, Reality Anchor, and then Endurance. Okay, you do not need the middle bit here. You can go for it if you want to, but it's really not necessary. Next, you will want to go for your critical strike chance, kinetic deflection, movement speed boost, true aim because you have to get to Disrupt Destiny, toughness boost, Disrupt Destiny. What you want next is increase the duration of Disrupt Destiny so that you have plenty of time to keep your 15 stacks, and then Cruel Fortune. Weak spot kills grant 2 additional stacks of Disrupt Destiny. This allows your assail to literally disrupt the destiny of many of your opponents, and you will do quite well with that. Next, go for the health boost, Warp Rider, okay, because this is another big source of damage, and toughness boost here. This is my loadout for the Gun Psyker, okay? It is the optimized loadout by sacrificing all the things that we don't need, grabbing only the things that we need, and trying to maximize both our defense and damage, okay? This is what the talent tree is supposed to do. Disrupt Destiny, every time you kill those marked targets, you're getting 1% extra damage, stacks up to 15 times, that's 15% extra damage, 30% extra critical damage, and on top of that, okay, you are getting at least 37.5% extra weak spot damage. So good. So good. Next, Scryer's Gaze can build up to at least 30% extra damage. Why? Now, the maximum would be 40%. The base 10 plus if you really hold Scryer's Gaze for 30 seconds, you know, you can get the 30% bonus for 10 seconds, but it's really not necessary. Most of the time in the field, if you use this, you'll get up to about, even while holding a sail, throwing a sail, and holding on to Scryer's Gaze, you usually stop around 20%. Now, Scryer's Gaze being a part of this build is why we mostly use a sail as an offensive weapon, and then once we're finished with a sail, we pull out the gun. So for the absolute morons who cannot understand the principle behind this whole build, and again, you know, I'm not addressing the good people at the stream. I'm not addressing the people that, you know, always pay attention to my content. I'm addressing the absolute idiot who literally tells me, oh, you're not a gun psyker if you're not using a gun. You don't even understand psyker abilities. I wrote the book on being a psyker, okay? So please, don't tell Tolkien how to create fantasy. Don't tell me how to play a gun psyker. Now, let me teach you guys the playstyle for the gun psyker using Scryer's Gaze. Now, there are alternate playstyles out there, okay? Mine is not the only one, but this is my way of doing it, and I'm going to show you how it works and why it all comes together. Here is an explanation of the playstyle. When you're facing off against enemies, let's say a horde is coming in, what you want to do first and foremost is activate your Scryer's Gaze and start throwing out your shards, okay? You notice your peril going up. Before your peril gets to 100, quell, okay? Take note that you can keep quelling your peril and Scryer's Gaze is still active. Do you see the buffs going on down below? Yeah, you see those buffs down below? All right, good. Because you can still keep throwing shards out, but take note that it's getting harder and harder because once it reaches this point, you want to pull out your gun, reach 100 peril, and take advantage of the 10 seconds to really shred through opponents with your gun, okay? This is where you use the gun. Once your Scryer's Gaze bonus is over, alright, kill off a few if you have to, and then go back to your sail shards, okay? Repeat this process until Scryer's Gaze is back on. This is why it's absolutely crucial to also have Disrupt Destiny, which increases your damage, and the Soul Blaze will help you burn out enemies while you're taking care of elites like so. Alright, it helps you increase your overall damage. Now, in the demonstration video, we did not actually use the Soul Blaze, but this was, but I decided to include it in later because it was a part of the private testing that helped make this a really great build. Once your Scryer's Gaze is back up, use it freely. Alright, it only cools down after you finish using it, but basically the cooldown is 20 seconds. Alright, so after you use your Scryer's Gaze, if you happen to hit 100%, alright, with your Scryer's Gaze, you won't pop from Scryer's Gaze, but Scryer's Gaze will end. If you accidentally cast your shard after you hit 100, you will pop. So be very aware of peril management. Peril management is absolutely crucial with this build because it is the #1 thing that you guys need to do. If you do not manage your peril effectively with this build, you are going to suck. Okay, next. I've talked about it before, but with the Deimos, you can deal with Crushers, alright, and Mutants. This is where you will use your melee weapon. Try to avoid using your melee weapon against hordes unless you really have to, because that's what your assail is for. This is why it's very crucial that you guys take the quick regeneration on the sail, because you're basically going to need your Yondu arrows to chop through everything, and then, you know, bring you back to being an efficient psyker. If and when you run out of shards, pull out your gun and start blasting. Just start blasting. This is why you take the Vrax. The Vrax is extremely strong against most targets, and the high critical rate, okay, thanks to all your bonuses, allows you to inflict devastating damage because crits ignore armor, alright? And the Vrax is not only highly accurate, but with high stability, it's very easy to control, alright? Like so. Don't hesitate to also use shard throws that are coordinated and controlled. Why? Because this is how you snipe. Play like Hanzo, play like Hanzo. If you're peeking around a corner, okay, slide out, peek, like that, alright? And throw your shards. This is a very useful technique that you guys will need to learn because this is how you can deal with snipers. Okay, assuming your gun is not ready, this is how you can deal with very distant targets. If you need more information on this, where do you find the combat demonstration? Guess what? I put the combat demonstration on my sub channel. All you got to do is head there, watch the combat demonstration. It'll help you learn about how we use this live. You know, it's a recording taken live from stream where we did this. If you missed all the streams where we were testing this, okay, you can go check that out. It will help you tremendously and it will teach you how we survived in the toughest situations with the Gun Psyker. Okay? Just take note that, you know, just a quick reiteration of this. You can choose either the Vrax 3 or the Vrax 7. It's really up to you what you want. Okay, there's no need to worry. You can choose either or, and you will still do fine. Okay, the Vrax 3 is not to be discounted because a 3-round burst, just so you know, highly effective at dealing with hordes, highly highly effective at picking off targets at range. It has a bit of stability issues, but if you stay calm and you fire calmly, okay, the Vrax 3 is an excellent addition. Let's see it with Scryer's Gaze. I just figured I'd show you this a little bit toward the end, okay? Let me show you how this runs. If I were to do, like, normally I'd even have the Disrupt Destiny bonus going on, which is really, really good because it ups so many factors. All right, you'll see how I'm just controlling the sail right here. Once I'm past 20, I usually don't care enough. So I'll stop, and then once I'm past 20, this is what I do. I take advantage of, you know, Warp Rider and all that kind of stuff to really lay on the punishment. And then once everything is done, you know, I go back to my usual stuff. Okay, all right. So just take note that this is the playstyle for the Gun Psyker, and I hope that this demonstration was helpful to you. Don't forget to check out the combat demonstration if you're ever confused. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys will have fun. I hope you guys will see me on stream, and I hope to see you in Darktide as well. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you want to support my channel, the best way is to like and share. That helps so much for smaller creators like me. That being said, if you guys also want to support additionally, you can grab a channel membership. You can send me a tip via the link in the description of the video. You can send super chats and super thanks on YouTube. Super chats are for stream. Super thanks is when I'm off stream. All of this helps to feed my family and make more content faster. So thank you very much if you guys decide to do that. If you do it, you end up getting a shout out, all right, on every single video that I make. In fact, here we go. Let's start with this shout outs. Top tipper right now is RiverArcher124. Top tipper list, Vazgen. All right, thank you for being in there. Top super chatter, Jason Kun. Top super chatter list, John Taylor, RiverArcher124. Top channel membership gifters are open right now. And thank you to our top channel members as well. I love all of our channel members. Thank you so much. Thank you to our cool and weird bots. Cool and weird bots don't get the individual shout outs, but thank you so much. You are a part of the team. We appreciate you. All right. Starting right at the top, we got Big Chungus at the only fan level. We have Death Dawning 982 at Plus Ultra. We've got the following prestige robots: Yuri X Eva, Jason Kun, all right, Jerry Fast, Rogue Assassin, and Zach MG. Thank you guys so much for everything you guys do for me. Thank you to all of our honored robots as well. We have the following individuals: Nightshade, Corey Ryu, Bob John, Cube, Devin Lashin, Mookie Mocha, Rena, Chase Taylor, Nathan Strong, Lady Neo, Joey Danze, Syed Assad, Coda CMF, Kamiya SMH, Conrad C, and Benjamin Savage. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys in the next video. I appreciate you watching my content. See you later.